Dear friends, Namaskar. I choose English as the medium of communication in today's video. And today I am discussing about a very important topic, and that is astrology. Now, astrology is also a very controversial topic. Controversial in the sense that some people believe in astrology, some deny in astrology. And even though there may be many supporters or opposers of astrology, the fact remains that astrology is very influential in present day times. You can find newspapers full of those astrological predictions, and now those are available on internet, also on YouTube. So somebody yesterday asked me views of Osho on astrology, and that is a very interesting topic. And I do not remember precisely, but Osho spoke a few times on astrology, and in Hindi there was a book called Jyotish Advait Ka Ek Shastra, which in English means astrology is non-dualistic. Astrology, a treatise of non-dualism, to be more precise. It's a treatise of non-duality. Now, this is something which is very complex because astrology is normally linked to predictions. What will happen tomorrow? What happened in my past? Will I be able to gain wealth? And Osho is saying it's a treatise of non-dualism. Advait ka ek shastra. Advait means non-duality. So, what are the views of Osho, the great master of our times, on astrology? So, very briefly, I would like to sum up. I'll try to sum up rather what Osho has spoken on astrology, so you get an idea of what astrology meant for Osho. In the first place, Osho said something very vital, that Jyotish or astrology was once a very strong and huge monument in India. It had developed a lot, it had gained great significance, and then this structure crumbled, it fell down. And today the astrology that we see is just the remnant astrology. It's the residual astrology. So it's not what it used to be. So he, in his typical comic tone, says that now we are left with those 25 paisa astrologers. 25 paisa astrologers means the people just demanding a small amount of money for astrology. So what were his views? The first view was this: it was once a huge edifice, and then in times to come it fell down. Secondly, he says that astrology is something which can be split into three parts. It's a long series of lectures, like 3-4 lectures. So I'm just trying to say in very few words. So astrology can be split into three segments. One is non-essential astrology, the second one is semi-essential astrology, and the third one is essential astrology. Now there are many incidents in life which happen randomly. For example, you are moving on a sea beach, let us say, and you are having a good time, and then your foot is placed on a banana peel and you slip down and fell down. Now this is something pretty non-essential, because it also involves some amount of attention on your part. That is another matter, that sometimes non-essential things become essential. But the fundamental is a lot of stuff in our life is non-essential. For example, whether I would eat bread toast, or I would eat omelette, or I would eat upma in my breakfast, that is a non-essential stuff. So we keep on doing many things which are not very significant in life. For example, I go to see a movie, I might not have chosen to see this movie. So predicting such stuff is immaterial. Like if you go on predicting this, you are engaging yourself in non-essential stuff. Now there are certain semi-essential things which Osho calls as ardha anivarya. What is semi-essential? Semi-essential are those things in which if you make efforts, then you can be successful. But if you are not making adequate efforts, can miss upon that. clearing a competition, for example. Now, if you are targeting for a competition, if you are studying properly, you have strategized yourself properly, to a good degree of probability you can achieve success depending on some other factors. You may also not be successful. But he says there is some essential astrology in life. And that essential astrology in life has something to do with your being, with the core of your being. For example, a person is destined to perform certain things in his life. For example, I am a YouTube video maker right now. Now, is it essential or semi-essential? So I would say it is semi-essential. But what is the essential part? Okay, just to go back a little, there can be a non-essential stuff also. For example, if I am trying to make video, there may be some restriction which is coming in from electricity or internet. There can be a blockage. That is non-essential. I can make this video later. But even making a YouTube channel is semi-essential. Now, why I am calling it as semi-essential? Because I may choose to use some other means of communication. I may use Facebook, or I can go speaking from one place to another what I want to communicate. But what is essential is I want to communicate. I am destined to communicate. That is my program. Somebody may be destined to work with trees. For example, I was looking at this person who is known as People Baba. He has planted 1 crore trees over last few years. So his destiny was to work with plants. So there is a core destiny of someone. Now Osho says that we go on asking about semi-essential things. For example, will I be able to marry in the year 2025? Somebody will ask. An astrologer will tell him, yes, this is a good chance for you to marry and all that stuff. But nobody ever questions whether that marriage will be successful for me or not. Whether I am destined to be a married person or I am destined to be alone. Now perchance, if you are destined to be alone and not with another partner, and by hook or by crook, I'll say, or by force, you get yourself in a married state, there is a huge amount of chance that your marriage is going to fail. And then you will ask some astrologer, why did this marriage fail? No astrologer will say that you are not destined for it. He'll rather give you some remedies in the form of stones, or he would say the Graha Dasha was not right, so you should have tried to marry in this Graha Dasha. So Osho clearly says that we should go to the essential part of astrology. So I'll tell you a very small story. So the video will go long a little bit, of course, but the topic is important. I try to sum up in 10-15 minutes. So this story goes back to ancient times when Lord Mahavira was alive. He was the 24th Tirthankar of Jainism. And one of his disciples, Goshalak, who later went against him, and this story which I am telling is one of the reasons why he went against Mahavira. So they both were passing through a road, and on the roadside in those days there were plantations, or like stray plants coming up on the sides of the road, and there is this small tree carrying some flower, and Goshalak asks Mahavira, can you tell me whether this plant will survive or not? In particular, that flower will survive or not? Mahavira closed his eyes for a moment, he opened his eyes and he said, yes, this plant will survive. So what Goshalak does is to pluck this flower from the root and throws it, smiles at Mahavira and goes ahead to show down on his master. Mahavira was the master and he was the disciple. So Mahavira also looked at him, smiled gently, and both of them moved forward. Nobody exchanged any word. So clearly Goshalak demonstrated that he had failed Mahavira. So his astrology, you can say, had failed. So both of them went to some other village, and then maybe after 3-4 months back they were coming, and coincidentally they happened to pass through the same route, and then Mahavira, just something happened to him, he stopped, looked to the side, and then talked to Goshalak, and he said, Goshalak, you remember we were passing through this road some 6 months back, you asked about this flower and whether it would survive or not, and I had said that yes, it would survive. So Goshalak says, yes, I remember. So he said Now can you look at that flower coming from that side? You remember you had plucked it and thrown it down there? So he said it has again gained roots and is still alive. This time Goshalak looked down and then both of them went ahead. Now Mahavira, in his conversation to Goshalak, said, Goshalak, like when you asked me whether this tree would survive or not, I looked into the being of both. I looked into the being of the flower and I looked into your being also. And I could see that the life force, like the tendency to live or the desire to live in the plant, was stronger than your tendency to kill it. That is, the life instinct, eros, was stronger than thanatos. Life energy was strong, so I knew that you would try to pluck it down, but I knew that the life energy was strong and that the plant would save itself. Also, when we were passing again through the same road, then I looked into your being once again and I could see that even now you could not dare to pluck it down again, because you could have done it once again, but I knew you would not be able to do it. And hence I knew that this plant was destined, or the flower was destined to survive. Now this shows the core of essential astrology, where there are certain things in our life which we are destined to fulfill. And we are continuously moving towards that destiny. Now to look into that destiny, we just need not go into the calculations of the stars and all those astrological predictions and the remedies and all, but we need to connect with ourselves. And we need to look ourselves in communion with this cosmos, in communion with this universe. So Osho further says that you are not alone, you are not an island on this planet. You are a part of this organic whole, of this cosmic whole. What is happening on the earth is affected by what is happening on the sun. So a small, that is the language of Osho, that a small blade of grass is connected to the farthest star. That is the core of Jyotish. I will repeat it, very important sentence. A small blade of grass is connected to the farthest star. So this cosmos is a connectivity, and we are not moving in isolation with what is around us. So the core of this astrology is what is your function amidst this whole. What is your function vis-a-vis the whole that surrounds you. So rather than focusing ourselves on non-essential or semi-essential things, we should focus always on the essential. And if we are able to identify that essential stuff, then we will somehow make up for the deficiencies, or we will somehow be able to pave and cut through the challenges that are facing us in our pursuit. That pursuit which comes from our very core. So with this I will sum up. This video has gone a little long because people say we don't have patience to see. But those of you who have seen it, I will just in 1 minute sum it up, that Osho divides astrology in three. That is non-essential, which may happen or may not happen, which is a matter of chance. Semi-essential, which depends on our efforts. So whatever we do will affect it. And the third is the essential, to which anyway we are moving. Like whatever we are doing, we are moving towards the essential. And that essential astrology basically is a subject matter of meditation. It is less a subject matter of stars and constellations, more a subject matter of meditation. So once you connect to yourself, you connect to the universe, and then you know the core purpose of your life. So with this, I end this small video. If you have any questions or comments, you can write it down in the remarks. Thank you very much and pranam.